The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Look, we were back. Good evening, everybody. Oh, can we hear you? Sean? Nope. Yeah,
You hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
I had the mic off. I had to yell at Courtney to bring me some tobacco in here. Hey, man, my old country boy, I can't help it.
I feel you. Yeah, it was a day that I did it too, and I was like, I can't do it no more. Burn my lip up.
I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
I feel you. I feel you there.
So I alternate the lip and the vape here. So
Oh, come on, man. You got to get rid of that vape.
I'm working on it.
I got to get rid of the smoking. What am I talking about?
I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
I feel you. Well, let's start this off. And welcome to G3. That's Ghost, Gadgets, and Gossip right here on the Rift Nation Network, presented by Hill City Paranormal and All Seeing Paranormal Society right here in Central Virginia. I am Ed the Hitman Odell, the director of ASPS.
I'm Sean Elliott from Hill City Paranormal.
Big Daddy in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We in here. And Ronnie would be here, but he had a family engagement going on. I was just with Ronnie last night, and his family keeps him pretty busy at times, so we understand that. It is Father's Day week, and happy Father's Day to you and all the other fathers out here as well.
Absolutely, and happy Father's Day to you and all of you other fathers and mothers that step into that role.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's be true. Let's be true. And hello to all of you that are tuning in, travelers and those alike. So there's a lot of people that don't usually follow, and some that follow this show, and some that don't follow. So there's a lot of good. It's a good spectrum of people out there.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to shout out, those of y'all who came over from our podcast as well. We always talk about the Rift Nation Network on our show as well. So I see a couple familiar faces in here that came on over. So I appreciate y'all coming over. Give these guys over here at the Rift Nation a like and follow as well. We always jump over here when we're not broadcasting. And a big shout out. I want to give a special shout out definitely to Bedford Paranormal as well. Those guys are showing us tremendous hospitality since we came out publicly with our team. So I want to shout those guys out. And a bunch of them are in the chat right now. Those guys are just the ones I've met from the team so far have treated us very incredible. We felt almost like we're part of the team almost. So definitely a big shout out. And these guys jumped right over here with us too. So thank you to you guys as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do a quick shout out there for everybody. I'll get everybody caught up. Daryl Palat. Hello, Courtney. Courtney, your other half is in the house. She said share it out. Well, thank
Lita.
you. We appreciate ya. That girl's in the house. She was just on the other show. Miss Palat is here. Becky Webb is in the house as well. Michelle Wilfong is here from the Haunted Apartment. Thank you. Kev is here. He was. They were just at the other show. Let's see who else. And Lois Clark. Miss Clark. Good to see you again. Good to see you. I just saw you an hour ago. But good to see you.
Lois.
Yeah.
Got some good folks in here so far.
Got some good folks. Good folks. For those who know her, let's send some good positive vibes and some healing vibes to Rhonda Harris. She's under the weather and couldn't make it on to the show tonight. She's been pretty down and out for the last week and a half. So go ahead and send a positive energy her way. That would be most appreciative.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Indeed. So let's jump into this, man.
Let's do it.
We don't want people getting bored going, why we're here. Hey, Jessica, right. How are you? Jessica Rucker in the house. Rucker Johnson.
Jinkies Paranormal, I believe.
Bam. So we've been convoing the past couple months, and first off, we want to apologize to everybody. It's hard for this show to get produced because I have all of this going on. Big Daddy has all of this going on with all of he does and with everything we do. It's hard to get this show down. So we're trying to make it so we can get this show down monthly for you guys. So y'all are not going, well, are you going to air this month? Yes, we're doing the best we can to get back up there. So, yes, we thank y'all for being patient, for jumping on over here and checking this out. We talk about this show again. is about ghosts, spirits, the paranormal. It's about the gadgets that's in the house that we use in the field, what we may use in the field, and what may not work, and the gossip in the field. Who, what, when, where, and how. Will we talk about it? Hell yes, we're going to talk about it. That's who we are. We have that right. We have that right to an opinion and thought and word. So we do that here, just like you, just like any of you here in chat or maybe listening. You have the right to your opinion, and you may express your opinion here by all means. Don't like somebody? That's fine. We okay. We okay. If you like somebody and will like put that out, put it out. That's all good because it's just life. It's how we work.
We keep it real.
Keeping it real. We try to keep it real at least. We don't place any fake. We don't go around faking other people, and we show respect to those who come here because we hope that same respect will be shown to us as the host. Michelle Wilfong goes, vibes. It's all about the vibes. Human vibes around it. That's right. So I know you've had a lot going on. I've had a lot going on. We've had some interesting things come up in subjects, and I thought we'd talk about it a little bit tonight, if that's up with you, Big Daddy.
Let's get it out there.
Also, maybe talk about some DIY stuff and get some people directed that, there's a lot of equipment out there that a lot of people are purchasing. You don't need to purchase. You just need to know how to build it, where to find it, how to get it. And that's what we're here to do too. We want to make this cost efficient for everybody to be able to do it if they have that passion in the field. That's why we're doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people who, and I was one of them. I will throw myself under the bus before I throw anybody under the bus. A lot of people ask me when they first get in this field, Sean, I need to go get this, this, and this, and this, and I need to run to all these big retail companies that are skyrocketing prices on stuff that shouldn't be the price that they are. And if you just go to Home Depot or Walmart or into your own garage, you might just be able to use stuff around your house that work just as good as the $500 pieces of equipment that's in the stores.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's insane the amount of money that these companies are charging people for equipment that just don't make sense.
I agree. Hey, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be distracted, but our new Bengal, we got a Bengal this weekend, and he is all up in here. You want to say hi? He's all up in there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's like, okay, mommy's in the shower. Can I sit with daddy? Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, this cat, Bengal cats, dude, ain't nothing like him, man. This cat is crazy. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't understand. I mean, you could go and get a multimeter and make your own EMF reader. It's not hard. It's actually quite easy. There's simple stuff that's out there that people can use, and sometimes they don't even think about it. And that's what we want to do. And we want to bring it to the field. We want to bring it to the novelist and anybody else, a lot of knowledge. Oh, let's do it. Oh, thank you, Kev. Yeah, he's a handful too, trust me. So one of the people I actually used to know, he's not around anymore, and some of you may know him or at least know of him, was a gentleman by the name of Mike Sinclair. I've been trying to get in touch with Mike because I would love to have him on. If there's one person that I could go to, to get real equipment and teach you how to make it at a low cost. We're talking hardware store, we're talking Dollar Tree, Dollar General, any of those. This is the man. He was part of Cobra Paranormal right here in the Shenandoah Valley. And you can find his material on YouTube. You can go to DIY Paranormal Equipment. You can go to Cobra Paranormal for free. That's right. Damn right. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
And he tells you and explains to you, you don't even need to go buy equipment. You got your own stuff in your own home. And he took it back old school like we all did. Where did the EMF reader come from? It's a version of a stud finder. Sorry, just being honest with you. That's exactly what it is. Between a stud finder and a radiation detector, and they used to have them. They were like $700 back in the day, and someone came along and adjusted and made it fit for price. I mean, great. Now we got K2s you can get for $10, right?
Yeah, I mean, depends on where you go because now K2s, I walked into one of those tourist shops from out of town and seeing a K2 you can get on Amazon for $10. They were selling it for $70.
What?
I kid you not. I walked into a tour. Every city I go to, I try to support other paranormal teams. You know, we preach para unity, and we preach supporting other, paranormal teams and other businesses. So we went to a shop that does the city tours or whatever, and you can purchase one of their custom K2s. That's an Amazon 1099 K2 with their sticker on it for $70.
A Timu for $9.99. Come
And
on.
I looked at it and said, is this the right price for this? They said, yes, sir. This is a great deal on this K2. I said, oh, okay. Y'all have a good day. Y'all have a good day.
You see where the gossip fits in here?
Yeah. I said, y'all have a good day. I mean, of course, I'm not going to school the worker that's getting paid to run the shop because I'm sure they had nothing to do with setting the prices. They may have, I don't know, but
But you know what? Hold on. We've seen this across the board the last 2 years. You and I have experienced it several times
Yes,
where
we have.
think we're getting a great deal, and then we both come along and find it somewhere else for 3/4 of price and realizing, dude, we just got scammed. We just got hit. In fact, you got scammed a year ago, didn't you?
Really bad.
Mm-hmm. You want to tell people about that so people know?
Yeah, I mean, there was a paranormal equipment page on Facebook that I thought I was getting a great deal on. We both were happy about it, and so I got a shipping page. I've got receipts. I've got all kind of stuff, and everything looked legit. Even the shipping company looked legit. I could saw a tracking number. I could track my item and everything like that. It was a fake. This company was so good. They created a fake shipping company page with a fake thing that tracked my shipping package and everything. Wasn't real. It was never real. And then, like I said, I knew something was off when I looked back at the page and they had DR60s for sale for $150.
Like what?
Where in the country can you even find a DR60 for $150?
Dang.
That's when I had the aha moment and started looking deeper into it. So they got me good.
So y'all have to be careful out there. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the things we're trying to say. Yes, you can get your own equipment. Yes, you can build your own equipment. But there's also a lot of people out there, like Sean's talking about, that are just out to scam you. I mean, literally. They will stamp amount on it, twice the price of what they think you're not going to see it, and then you get nailed. And then what happens? You get pissed off a month later when you find it somewhere else. It happens.
Yep.
Do your research. Reach out to people who know. Reach out to, this is the one thing I would say, reach out to those people who have been in the field for a good amount of time, that know where they can get their product, that know how to make the product, and ask the questions. Ask the questions. Wow. You know what?
To those people, though, I've had people get mad at me because they wanted to go to location A to get their stuff.
Yeah.
And they were excited to go. And I told them to stay away from that location to go because their prices are tripled in price. And they literally I told them go to here, go there. They were mad at me for telling them not to go to this place.
You know what? Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we here at the RNN and the G3 are proudly presenting this show, the G3, coming out to you live. Ghost, Gadget, and Gossip, along with a special guest, Ronnie Anderson's in the house.
Oh my God, he made it. I saw it with my own two eyes. He made it.
I do apologize, fellas. I had a work on my wife's car today, and my son. I did it at my son's shop, so they decided to do a Father's thing, and I totally forgot. and I rushed home, and I just happened to look, and I was like, "Oh hell!" So I apologize for being late, but I'm here.
I don't need to apologize, man. And we're
Yeah.
appreciative you made it. We really are.
I was really looking forward to this.
Oh well, we got a great conversation started with you. So if you want to jump in on this, we're talking about two things: talking the price of equipment, and we're talking about how people are getting screwed by the equipment and people are selling it. So
Well, I think the price is outrageous, and I think that just like anything else in the field, that a lot of TV is running a lot in the field. People are running out buying all this equipment that the people on TV are using, and yeah, they can afford it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how they purchase their equipment, but I know locally here with most. Well, I'm going to say one in particular place in town. They're just they're price gouging. Their equipment is mostly reliable, and from what Sean tells me, I know he deals with them a little bit. That they do make sure the equipment stays working, but it's not. To me, I don't think it's really reliable for what you pay for.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Now, by law, folks, we can't say the name of these corporations. We just
no,
want to let you know, but do your research. So we would love to say the name of the people, places, things, but we can't. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, and we're not going to do that.
right.
I mean, Ronnie, to back Ronnie up, this place, I never push them or announce them because I don't agree with their prices. Every now and then they come out with something that I get curious about just because, I get interested, but I will never push them out just because I don't agree with their prices. Um, but their customer service is great towards me. Now, I've heard horror stories about, people, but I think their customer service is great because I'm local. And because you really can't run from somebody when they're standing in your face holding the equipment that's defective or not working. So it's really hard to be an ass to somebody that's standing right in front of you. But I think it's different over the phone or different through email. I think it could get tricky, but I've never had a bad dealing with them. However, I can see where it could get tricky over the phone, but the prices, you know, I can never, in good conscience, send somebody to that place and say, "Hey, go get your equipment from there."
Right.
Now I do know a couple people around, I guess our area, should I say, that are in the paranormal equipment building business, and they're doing just as good work as these big name places. But then again, some of this equipment, I honestly I can't see paying big prices for it when really sometimes you don't know if it's really doing what you're expecting it to do. I can't rely on every piece of equipment that's out there. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well,
I
the
agree.
one thing, I know. I go ahead, Sean.
I agree with that too. I've gone from using a whole lot of equipment to less and less, two or three things at a time per investigation. And often the equipment I use has to be manipulated in order for it to be anything for me. Anything that's solely electronic based, I don't really like it. It has to be touched or moved in some shape or form in order
Yeah,
for it to me to like it.
I
Gotcha.
agree 100%.
I think the other thing that we find out in the field is a lot of people are using tools they have no idea what it does. That's one of the things we were talking about, Ronnie. Is these people are purchasing pieces of equipment they don't even know where it came from. How did it become a part of the paranormal equipment? Um, that's one of the things that I think people need to look closer at. They need to pay more attention to what does this piece of equipment actually supposed to do? You know,
Yeah.
and this is what I'm going to say about that part is sure I can get a white noise box, right? You can purchase a white noise box. You can get it off Amazon or whatever, say for probably 50 to 60 bucks, right?
Yeah.
Well, the point is you can go and get a camping TV right on Amazon right now for $12 and it's exact same damn thing. And that camping TV is going to have different channels that you can switch through. Where this white noise machine, it's only got one. So you're changing frequency along with changing the pitch.
I've seen a version something like that before, but I can't remember. I don't know how it worked. The people would explain how it worked, and I'm sitting there looking at it, going, "Oh, okay, I understand it." And it was like a white noise generator, but it was used with a TV. I've seen it work, but it was very new to me, and it's been a couple of years. But you're exactly right. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the one word. Go ahead.
And cheaper.
Right? It's about the major dollar, the bigger bucket in the pocket.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you look at it. You look at all these people that run around and buy all this piece of equipment. Oh, I got to have that, got to have that, got to have that, I have that. That's a hoarding personality, and they don't use 3/4 of that equipment. Why?
Yeah. Sean's heard me say it before. We got a truckload of equipment. We've been doing it for 20 years, I guess, and we rarely ever take half the stuff we go on an investigation anymore. It's just either we're getting old, or maybe we are questioning some of the equipment, or whatever. But we've downsized big time.
Yeah. The one thing I go to when we all say this and we talk about this is we still don't know a damn thing about the paranormal. So how do we know what works?
Right.
We know it works maybe by cause and effect, the trifecta. But even with that, are we still hitting the right use of what this is supposed to be using for?
Yeah, you're right. I'm not against trying new equipment and trying different things, but it goes back to what we're discussing anyway, the cost of it to just buy equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so outrageous. And I've gotten to the point where what I think works is what I use on an investigation, especially if we're traveling out somewhere out of state or something. It's just too much to carry, really.
It's true.
That's the big thing.
All right. So, Sean, you may not be familiar with this, but, Ronnie and I have been in this type of investigating for many years. So it's a group investigation. Now, when I say group investigation, I mean, when you pull the CCTV out and you pull all the equipment, you're setting all the equipment up, you have your person at your comm, and then you have two groups going out left and right. They have all this equipment. That's a lot of equipment to be pulling out. Two, that's a lot of CCTV to be running the wires and running these cameras out. But that's how it used to be done. And some groups would do that just for 2 hours. I mean, sorry, dude, I wouldn't break out the cameras if it's any less than 3, because it would take me at least an hour to know where I put all the cameras and where I want them set in angles. So I remember that the Exchange Hotel. Whoa, that was fun.
Yeah, we did it once and we're done with it. Then it was a bad situation when we got to do the opportunity to do it, but interesting place. But yeah, but as far as you're talking about, like the DVR systems and all, we have 2. They're still in boxes in my basement that we hadn't used in 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I think the last time we used it, we were at Ohio State Reformatory, and we only set cameras. Down and unpacking it, and it's just not there for a good time. I mean, a good amount of time. There's no need in carrying it around.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree now. And there's something else that's been brought to me that I want to talk to you guys about. We're now that all 3 of us have finally gotten together, we're chit-chatting and discussing. And again, this is that part of, ghost gadgets and gossip. One of the things that's been getting to me is we use the terminology we're ghost hunting or we're research and investigating. We go out, we're looking for this energy, this spirit. How do we know? And this is my big thing to go to now. How do we know what's affecting them in a negative way? This is something that I spoke with Sean about. Colors of light. What about frequency? I mean, has this anything that have you ever thought about that, Ronnie?
I have not really thought about it in that way, but that's a good question. We don't know. We don't know. It's like you said earlier. We don't know everything or anything really about the field, and that's probably something we should think about. You're referring to equipment, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We don't know how equipment affects the paranormal. That is a great question. I really never thought about it like that.
I think we need to open that spectrum up as a field to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with. A lot of us are out getting it, and a lot of people are out there just to go, all right, I'm going ghost hunting. Oh boy, please. Well, other people are out there researching, getting the evidence, getting that baseline, getting that 3 points of scientific point of view. Something said with nanoscience when it comes to the paranormal right now. It's never going to be taken seriously because the scientific method is never applied. How do y'all feel about that?
I think when we're investigating, we need to be paying attention. I think that one flip side of it, we don't know how we're affecting spirits, but I think that sometimes the spirits will indicate how they feel about it. I think sometimes when we're not getting responses in places is one way of them letting us know that they don't like what we're doing. Or that's just a theory or possibility. What do we do with people we don't like? We don't talk to them. We
That's
don't
the
respond.
problem, Sean. Everything's about theory. That's the
Right.
whole point.
Right.
Everything we do doesn't matter where we go, how we do it. It is all theory. There is no proof.
Exactly.
There is no provenal scale of going, this is this. We're relying on somebody that has said something in the past. I mean, for God's sakes, if I may get on a rant, please, I apologize. And Ronnie, I apologize, but I have to say this.
We know you.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize to us.
Who in the hell came up with the K2 or the EMF reader? Who even said that is the piece of equipment that you need to go to? Where is that freaking said? Where? Somebody can tell me, that'd be great.
I heard it was television.
Yeah.
Television. There you go.
I think science kind of took up to a point. I mean, it's still in the field because we kind of use a lot of science, but honestly, how much can you trust any piece of equipment, as far as even the science goes?
You better know how to debunk your equipment before you use the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
That is something that people forget about too.
My best piece of equipment that I have is myself.
Okay.
I granted, certain places you go to have different energies. Certain places you go to, certain, whether it's cold, hot, or whatever, your body adapts to that stuff. But there are some feelings my body feel that I know it's not due to what's around me, as far as the atmosphere or anything like that. It's something else there. I can feel it.
You think it's because you've trained yourself to do that?
That is questionable. Being in the field so long, it's in the brain. Your brain, if you're going somewhere and you know that this spot in this place is haunted or has activity or has claims, your brain will process that as you go in. But I'm going to give an example of St. Albans. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in St. Albans. If you watch the TV shows, you have every TV show goes to the bowling alley, boiler room, suicide bathroom. But ever since COVID and they shut it down, and we went back in there a few months during the COVID time, we can go into the King Center. I can walk that building, every inch of that building, and feel normal. But I can walk into the King Center not knowing anything about the King Center, just since the COVID and the shutdown of it. I can walk in there and every hair on my body stands up. I've even had a negative experience there since then. And that's just my body. That's no equipment. But we can take equipment in there and it acts totally different in that area than anywhere in that building. Anywhere the TV shows go, I don't even think I've been to the bowling alley in a couple years, other than to walk down there and take a group or something. But I haven't been down and spent any time in that bowling alley, boiler room, or anywhere in a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
But I've spent the night in that building 10 times in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So that I kind of trust my body more than I trust any piece of equipment. And I know I know what you're saying about your brain, or I've trained myself to do that, but I never trained myself to walk into the King Center and feel like that and have a negative experience. Never have I had a negative experience, nor have I had one in that building up until that point.
Okay. I got another question that leads out of this, because I didn't even think about it till you said it. Now we had been in St. Albans since the epidemic too. When the pandemic went crazy, we had connections and they asked us to come in to join them, do an investigation there. That was cool. That was great. That was an interesting weekend. But it didn't take till just then you talking about it, the pandemic. Could the possibility, and I'm not just talking St. Albans, let's talk about all of the hospitals are even just around Virginia that are no longer open. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of mental institutions and a lot of institutions that dealt with TB that are not open anymore. What do you think the possibility of us having this pandemic now affecting how our responses and all that are at these locations that dealt with tuberculosis and dealt with disease, not just mental? I just thought about that.
Well, mentally, if we have a pandemic, I don't care how many people were gung ho about it ain't that bad. It's not going to affect us. In the back of your mind, with how it first got introduced, everybody was a little bit concerned. Like I said, a lot of people may have said, "Oh, I'm not worried about it." And there might have been a few people that weren't, but in the back of your mind, everybody had to worry a little bit about how serious was this pandemic, because nobody knew anything about what was going on. Yeah, I know the cans of Lysol said COVID, but we never had nothing like this really affect us this way. So
Right.
think about what energy was brought into these locations. Think about what was on people's mind prior to the location. Think about the conversations. We don't know what the spirit world hears. We don't know what they see. We don't know where the spirits are. We don't know where the energy flows. So if you're bringing people with a pandemic on their conscience, now think about it. When you're investigating, we're setting our intentions. And some people do it out loud. Some people do it silently. What other intentions are being put into the atmosphere? So if you're going into a mental institution that's focused on mental psychology, and that energy is being placed in the air of a place that had an epidemic or something that they were dealing with at that time, what else could you be stirring up or drawing up at that point?
Exactly.
So when you're doing that, what are you bringing out, what is being released, and what is still currently there? And remember, we're opening doors when we investigate. What doors were not closed? What's still floating around that atmosphere? So that's why, I was with Ronnie at one point. We went into the King Center just fine the first time I went into the King Center. Ronnie was eager to show me the King Center. The second time we went to the King Center when Ronnie investigated, he stopped at dead stop. Said, "Guys, I don't know about going down here." So he's telling the truth on that. Like the second time, I just looked at him like, "What do you mean you don't feel comfortable?" The last time you walked straight in there, he really did stop at that door, and then all of a sudden, I didn't feel nothing. I was fine until we started walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden, I was like, something really does feel off. Not even paying attention what Ronnie was talking about. I just all of a sudden felt something different. I can't say it was a negative. All I can say was just off. It was just different, completely different than last time.
Right.
And mind you, I didn't hardly use a flashlight that night to investigate. Ronnie was with me. He'll tell you, I was walking around in complete darkness, using just human night vision to see stuff. And I like investigating more without a flashlight because I like using more natural senses to investigate with. But walking in that hallway was just a lot more shadows moving than normal and a lot different feeling than last time I was in there. So that's just my take on the pandemic thing that in hospitals, we don't know what energy is being put in the air. We don't know what they can sense, feel, and see. So that's just my whole take on the pandemic thing.
Yeah.
Sorry to want my rant.
I can say with St. Albans, I've been going there since 2009. With St. Albans, that whole building changed during the time it sat dormant during COVID. It changed. I mean, it's now to where they won't let me go up to King Center by myself anymore. I'll walk that building anywhere, but I cannot go to the King Center by myself. They won't allow it. I had a very negative situation there.
Okay.
And it took me 3 days to collect my shit. Excuse my language, but
wow. No, you're good. It's after 9 o'clock. We can see whatever the fuck we want.
There you go. But yeah, I don't know about any other place I've been to since then. But I think it's just the point that I've spent so much time there. And we were discussing it last night. I kind of told Sean about it a little bit last night. And we were discussing how do we think that these places, if you spend so much time, and I don't even know how to explain what we were discussing, but do you feel like that some points, do you spend so much time in one place that it connects to you, I guess?
Yes.
And it affects you?
I think so.
Because I've spent more time in St. Albans than anywhere other than maybe the Avenel or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, the building was one way. The next one, after that, or during that, when we went in there, just our team and spent the whole night there. After a couple of times there, it was just so different. Everything was different.
Yeah, Daryl just says it is affecting each one of our team or the team itself.
Yeah,
so that's and I can see that. I can see that. When we started out, there was a location in Powhatan that we spent 2 years at, and it was not a public location; it was a private location. I feel when you spend more time at a location, your energy signature, your frequency, the other side gets used to that. It's like a homeowner. So they'll interact or they'll react to you better than say you just walked in the door. Sean, I think you could say the same thing when you were at the cemetery.
We were talking about that last night too. And I also think you get more relaxed. I think, if you go to it, and I was saying this last night, if you frequent a location, or if you go to a location for the first time, your guard's up and you're more protected. You don't open up as well. But if you frequent a location, you're comfortable, you're more relaxed. And what happens when you get more relaxed? Your guard's not up. You open yourself up a little bit more. You're a little bit more vulnerable. That's the word I'm looking for. You're more vulnerable. And when you become more vulnerable, the things that may have not been communicating with you are the things that might start trying to attach to you. And or the things that you may have been communicating with you might be affecting you or attaching to you in a different way. I could be wrong, but I do feel like when your guard's not up, and you're opening yourself up a little bit more to places, you're more relaxed. Things you're inviting more things in, and if something's seeing you, especially if you're by yourself, if you're by yourself, we don't know how these entities that we communicate with work. If you're in a group, they say strengths in numbers. Think about if you're in a dark alley and you got 5 people rolling with you, you're less likely to get attacked by anything. But if you're by yourself, that's when something's more likely to happen to you. So you're rolling through St. Albans at night by yourself. You never, that's just a theory,
I've got a story for you guys that has to do with St. Albans about what you're talking about right now. It happened right after COVID.
Let's hear it.
Ronnie, did you hear about the girl that got affected down in the bowling alley on one investigation?
Which one?
She said she heard bees and then she actually got attacked. There was actual audio and video of her being attacked.
No, I have not heard that.
You need to go check out, and you can ask Marcel or anyone that might still be there from 20 to 21 about this incident. Brian, I think Brian's another one. She's not. I'm not saying that, but we were there with another group, and this is that weekend. We went down to the bowling alley. It was 6 of us. We went into the bowling alley, didn't really pay attention to the boiler room at the time, none of that else, but you could feel something in the hallway, like, okay. So I go down the bowling alley to the left. Another investigator goes to the right. We're going down. There's 2 other girls that are standing on the wood rear stepping side. There was another person at the door, and then another person at the other door. Now, this was all being filmed. Buster was watching everything going on in the cams. She started to freak out a little bit. This is one of the 2 girls that was standing in the backside. She started freaking out a little bit. Then a good portion of all of our audio equipment, if you will, those who are responding, were starting to use names and reacting in a negative way, like I'm gonna death you, like will be taken, stuff. I can't say that on YouTube, but those things that are very negative. And I'm like, it's just something mess with us, not that big a deal. Just relax, everybody. Well, one of the girls was not so relaxed, and she really started freaking out. Her comment before we went down there was, I've never experienced anything. I really would like to experience something. Oh, boy. No. So we go down there. She starts to freak out a little bit. She says she's hearing bees. She grabs her hair, starts rubbing her hair. She freak out completely. I'm like, okay, get her out of here. I had 2 people, Buster came down the crew. They got her out, took her outside to the courtyard. I was like, all right, let's wrap this up. You check out what's going on. Let's go back to the area where we commute and try to get our bases back. I go outside to make sure he's okay. We do a little grounding, a little blessing, if you will. And then Buster comes out the door and says, Howie, you need to come see this. I'm like, hold on. He goes, no, you need to go fucking now. And I was like, okay, all right. So I go with Buster Brian into the security room. He winds it. You can see a manipulative energy come through the forward door, not the back door, the forward door that's closer to the boiler room, come along the floor, go up to her leg, come up her back, and you can see her hair starting to move. And then she freaks the F out. Man, I've never seen anything like that. That's a physical interaction with a entity that I've never seen before that gave me some proof, but it happened to somebody I knew too. So it made it personal. So you can imagine after that what took place.
Yeah.
But to see these physical manifestations, and it's a place that we all know, it's actually it's almost mind-blowing at times.
Do you know Copperhead? Greg Graham?
Yeah.
Okay. It was me and Greg down there and a couple of our team down in the bowling alley. And he had stepped out of that door and went across to the bathroom that's over there. and we were in there. I don't even think we were, in the middle of a session or anything. We were just sitting there, just listening, and I heard Copperhead. I mean, just sound like somebody walked in there with him, and he went ballistic. I mean, he was cussing somebody out, and I was like, I ran over there, and he come out of there. He had his dowsing rods, and he said, somebody's in there just fucking with me, and I can't stand him. And he had some of the same thing, that it was playing with his hair, and he had a weird experience in there. And he don't get like that, but he was mad. He was upset, pissed off. Somebody was messing with him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I never heard the story about the girl, but I'll ask Buster
Yeah.
next
That's
time I
all
talk to
about
him.
it. Yep. In fact, I was supposed to have gotten a copy of it. I don't know if she ever did or not. I wasn't sure if he actually was able to get it off the security system, but it's there, or it was there.
Oh, it's still there. Chuck
Yeah.
showed me a bunch of stuff they had gotten
Okay.
before he passed. So I'm sure they still have it.
I would assume if anybody has it, Buster will have it because it's such a evident piece of evidence that it's just almost concreted into this actually happened and we got this on video. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing that gets me is because I have not had a lot of experience with any entities when I have a video camera going, unless I'm using black light.
We
If I,
talked
Really?
about that.
Yeah. We have better luck with, full spectrums and black lights and stuff like that also. The straight just IRs, rarely. But yeah, as far as St. Albans goes, I think it's a great place, but I don't think people should go in there and take it lightly. I mean, it's like any other location. It's hot, and then it's cold. It's hot and it's cold. But you
oh, did we just lose him? Okay. Oh,
you know go in there just as your group, your team. But yeah, it's not a place to take lightly.
no, I agree.
I agree with that.
I think there's a lot of places that a lot of people do go in and they just I don't know for whatever reason it's become so much a normal thing for people to do that they just go in flipper flapping around, with their pants down, no pun intended, just stating. But and they think they know what they're doing and they're getting themselves in trouble. Or we have these a lot of new ghost hunters that are out there that are causing more issues than they're helping. So I mean you have that too. I mean that's the sad part. That's
Well,
a sad,
yeah, you have a lot of thrill seekers, and the bad thing in the field now is the people who rely on all the TV shows.
yeah.
It's just,
And that's a good thing. I'm glad to see these TV shows are going away. Maybe we'll get back to the root.
oh yeah. But I mean, you can't rely on what they do there, because ghost hunting is really boring compared to the TV shows.
Right?
So they'll bum rush a location and not really think about what they're doing.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Early in my career doing this, it wasn't. You might have had a couple shows on TV at the time, but I wasn't a thrill seeker. I was in it for, I wanted to research the field,
Yeah.
and I'm still like that. And I hate going to. I don't. We don't really do publics, but we do volunteer at St. Albans, so we got a bunch of publics, and some of these people, I just watch them and I try to explain. And not that I'm an expert. I don't think there are any experts, but I kind of try to guide them, but they act like they already know. So I just let them run. But they don't do things right. A few I've seen very disrespectful, and I think that's a bad thing, going anywhere for the first time or at any time really, and just be disrespectful, because you are talking to people that were here before.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that you don't know what they are or anything, you're going to rub them the wrong way.
See, and thank you. Sean and I have talked about that on multiple occasions. You don't know if it is a human spirit, if it's a spirit from another dimension, another plane, or from another freaking planet. We don't know. And that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that people get intrigued about. Hey, what's up, Super Duty? I think we need to. Somebody said once, good point. For us to really start to get liable in the field, we need to start documenting the experience or what that experience gave. Because how can we define what entity is what? Because we don't have the documentation to go back and go, oh, wait a minute, let's whip through. And I've got this. Well, we're having A, B, and C. There's a possibility of this one. Now, a lot of history. Okay. A lot of history gives you that. Okay. You got, it's a regular ghost, or it's an old hag, or etc. But what about the other versions? We need more of that scientific base to go to a list to say it is possibly this, because we don't even know how they exist. What affects them? Is it thermal? I know some spirits are thermal. If it's too hot, well, if it's hot, they use cold. If it's cold, it's hot. I've seen that before. So is that the type of ghost that's at another location that's affected by noise? I mean, does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. We've talked about that some too. Not all paranormal activity is going to be cold. Everyone talks about it being cold at times, but there's times where I've seen it get hot and there be paranormal activity. Or, there's times where, you got to look at everything around you. Sometimes I like to sit in a room with nothing, saying nothing, and just observing the surrounding. Complete silence. If you look at a lot of the earlier paranormal investigators, even going back to the Warrens, they'll sit in a room and not do nothing and just observe what goes on around, listen to the environment, listen to the noises, listen for things. We did that this past weekend in the cabin at Clover Hill, and just to hear the amount of footsteps, the amount of knocks you hear, these entities will talk to you and communicate with you. Just because they're not answering, is there anyone with us? Just because they're not answering, yeah, me, it's Clarice. Just because they're not saying that doesn't mean they're not talking to you.
Right. Well, that could go down a whole nother rabbit hole right now. I don't think we got time for.
Yeah.
Does that consider yourself being your best piece of equipment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's why I don't like all electronic equipment. I was that guy. Like I said earlier in the show, I'll throw myself under the bus before I throw anybody else. When I first started investigating, I didn't even know about equipment. I never watched the TV shows. When Courtney and I first linked up, she knew about all the TV shows. I didn't even know about them. And I watched one episode and I hated it. I couldn't stand the TV shows. Number one, I was like, this is so unrealistic. None of this has ever happened when I started investigating. So I was like, I couldn't watch it. I watch them now solely to get ideas and for entertainment purposes. That's it. But I could not watch a TV show. And so I didn't know about all this equipment. I was still using my camera and the phone and for a recorder and stuff and for a video. And that was it. I didn't know about all this high tech stuff that was out here. So when I learned that there was equipment, I went out and bought every piece I could get my hands on. And then I was like, number one, I was like, this is way too much shit to carry around. And two, I was like, there's way too many false positives with this equipment. That's why I hate REM pods.
Yeah.
Once I learned how many things that can trigger a REM pod, I don't trust them. Once I took a cat ball apart and started figuring out how many things can make that light go off, I was like, I don't trust it. So unless I see it do something miraculous that I can't explain, That's until then. I don't trust any piece really of equipment unless it has to be physically touched or manipulated.
Yep.
I don't like it, and that's just me personally. And I'm not, doubting anybody what they use. That's just me. For me to believe it, it's got. For example, the REM pod. There's so many things that can trigger it. I notice on investigations is somebody will pull out their phone and they'll get their camera working and REM pods automatically is going off. Even just from cutting your phone, taking it from the sleep mode to cutting it on.
Yep.
I notice REM pods always go off when that happens. That's why I don't trust them. My number one reason. But on the contrary, when Courtney's REM pod finished a musical sequence, I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah.
That was different to me. That's when that was one of the few times I trusted a REM pod. St. Albans, when 2 REM pods went off until the battery died back to back, when nobody had their phone out, that was another time that I've trusted a REM pod. So, I mean, that's why I'm not a fan of a lot of equipment, because there's too many ways for them to go off that you're not aware of.
Do you know what we do to solve the phone setting equipment off? We don't take our phones. We don't take our phones.
There you go.
We leave our phones in our bags or somewhere. We don't take our deposit from a phone.
I mean, people think airplane mode solves that problem, and it doesn't. There's too many things that can run in airplane mode.
Oh, yeah.
It's still receiving and sending.
Yeah. There's too many apps that don't go to sleep in airplane mode. So airplane mode doesn't. That's why I don't even put my phone in airplane mode if I have it on me anymore, because, like I said, I've seen people go from their phone being in sleep, as soon as they unlock it, I've seen REM pods go off.
I've seen phones, somebody get an incoming call and set a K2 off.
Yep.
Yeah.
K2 moves with the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just ringing. Yeah, we don't take our phones with us anymore. We don't use any apps. I trust 0 apps. So, and maybe apps out there, I'm not like Sean, I'm not judging anybody for what they use or whatever. It's just, I've seen too many apps and people be fooled by these apps.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to take somebody out somewhere and say, hey, fake stuff, which I never do, and just to have an experience, I would definitely go out and load a bunch of apps and show them.
Yeah.
If you listen to apps long enough, they eventually say the same thing over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're designed for that. And guys, we're at the top of the hour. It's already that time.
Wow, that was quick.
Time flies.
Ronnie, we'd like
sir.
to see if you'd like to come back with us the next show. Would you like to come hang out?
Of course, and I will not be late.
Oh, sorry. If you're late, we're good. We'll make it happen. You know what, folks? We appreciate you being here, travelers and those alike. We really are proud of this show. When Sean and I got together and said we really want to do this, you're going to see a lot more of structure. When we started, we gave you the history and we looked at equipment. We're going to continue doing that. But with having Ronnie with us, it gives us a fresh breath, if you will. I'm going to end this on one thing. Instead of put yourself out, don't think about that. What would be the one piece of equipment that you would take in the field that's mechanical or ambient or audible that you would take in the field that you rely on? What is the one piece?
Me?
Yeah.
Probably my recorder.
Okay.
Probably a recorder.
And what kind of recorder?
Right now I have a few. I have a few Sonys and a couple Olympias, and we just got a new Zoom. That's a pretty sweet one. I don't have the big dog daddy like Sean's got, but
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm running 3 Sonys and an Olympia, and they all get the same thing or fairly closely located to one another, and 2 gets something and the other 2 doesn't, I kind of have to say, okay, it's kind of legit. But definitely it would have to be a Class A for me or something close for me to even consider it. When in doubt, I throw it out. I'm not ashamed to say it.
There you go. I'll say it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I
What
agree with
about
that.
you, Big Daddy?
I'm gonna have to go the same. If you asked me this question a year ago, I would have told you something completely different. But now it's a recorder. We turned the car around and came back home because I forgot my recorder the other day. So, the recorder, just because it's whether it's paranormal or not, if there's only two people in a room and there's another voice on there, it's hard to explain what that was. So,
Okay.
definitely a voice recorder.
Well, I'm going to have to go back to my trusted. I will not go anywhere without a compass. Straight up.
A compass?
The compass is my go-to. If it's going to be affected, it means it's by a natural force. You can't explain it. North or south. There's only way. Something's got to be affected. The magnetic or the band or how the pin is set. So that's my go-to. If nothing else is going on, I'll throw it down. If it ain't moving, there ain't nothing going on. That means it's not natural. There's natural energy that's not flowing around. And if it does start to spin or move, well, then you've definitely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, it's an analog piece of equipment. You got something that's outside the normal realm. So yeah, that's my go-to.
Now I do bring my compass everywhere I go.
I do make me go out and get a compass now.
Bam!
Did I ever see you that video when I took the compass to Kentucky and it just started spinning? Did I ever show you that video?
No.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Yeah, I took it to Kentucky and out of nowhere I looked down and my compass is literally just spinning for no reason.
Crazy.
Ching.
Yeah. But all kind of weird stuff was going on in that investigation.
True that.
That was a weird place. Great place though. I can't wait to go back.
Where was it?
Bardstown, New Haven, Kentucky. It was literally a bar that's been here since slavery. They have the underground tunnels under the bar that lead through the city. And it was just a bar owner that said that they have some haunted stuff going on. We had to wait till the bar closed down to investigate. And once the bar closed down, we had full roam of the bar. The bar still looks like it was 1800s. And once we sent them the evidence from our investigation, they asked if we'd come back. And there's like 4 other places in that town that want us to come and investigate it because they showed it's a small town. You can literally throw a rock and be through the town. And they want us to come back and investigate like a hotel, train station. Apparently there's another place where Jesse James got drunk and started shooting the wall. I mean, it's all kind of crazy. It's a really cool town.
Oh yeah, that's neat. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been trying to get some people together to go, so that's a conversation for another night. That's a phone conversation, though.
Well, you got my number.
Oh yeah.
All right, gents. I want to say thank you to both of you, Big Daddy. Thank you for helping me put this together. Ronnie, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Maybe we can keep going more. All of you that hung out with us through this whole period of time, asking you questions and making statements, we appreciate you. We thank you. And if we wouldn't be doing this without you. So remember, when we come back, bring your questions, bring your answers, bring something to the table and talk about it. We'll talk about it today. So until then, we'll see you next month right here on G3. Ghosts, Gadgets, and Gossip. We'll see you soon.